There seems to be a change in the way the internet's working now since this phone's got reset. If you see that picture, oh, where's that gone? Hold on. There you go. Fox in. It's an old picture. I've had this since the 90s. And the point I was going to talk about is the natural health and disability in, well, whether you're in the United Kingdom, whatever. But I've always loved nature and the weather. Obviously, I was able-bodied years ago, and that's meant to be a fox in the water. I mean, that picture behind me is meant to be of a we can see, I think, is of the snow. Now, if you're in UK, you see the weather. Oh my gosh, 2 days. That's why I'm so ill. And I'm going to share my tips of detox and how to keep warm. And I'm just trying to do it verbally rather than show what I've been using. I'm bedbound today because of the effects of 2 days in a row. I don't normally go out. But be warned, if you have any natural, sensible, warm items of clothing, get it out now. We're about to hit, if you don't know about the subject or whether on the subject geoengineering, for example, just observe out your window if you're inside right now, because it's freezing and it's a mainstream news, mainstream weather channels. I mean, last night, for example, what was it, -1? Well, I had a gut feeling Christmas time, UK is going to hit the white stuff. In my area is going to hit, and if it's we're trying to be prepared and stocked up and stuff. Right, so let's zoom back out. Okay. I've had that picture since the late 90s. You don't really get the black frame around it anymore. And I've got some other beautiful nature pictures of my home. But anyway, we're going on to natural health. To keep the body from, apart from vitamin C, if you can't get out and about easily, you can't get to your farmers markets, you know, the mainstream stores have your fruit and veg. If you haven't seen the size of a bloody leek, oh my God. Yesterday, I could not believe the size of this leek vegetable. It was so obvious, the GMO, the chemical grown leek. Oh my goodness me. My mate chopped it up now, so haven't been able to. We didn't think getting a picture of it, but God forbid my health next week. Depends if I can get another one, and I will, because while I'm in the store, because you start learning the difference and the taste and the way my friends cut up my food. The broccoli, for example, they have to do like a smoothie. And this tomorrow challenge, talk about a challenge, it's going to be trying to neutralise is the wrong word. Most probably might do that, but use my late mum's slow cooker. I don't have a lot of space, but we're going to try and make some space. All those coppers, if you've ever saved 1p's, 2p's, if you can ever get those things from the bank to actually bag them up and then store them somewhere, because the copper, if you ever looked into this, I know it's off subject slightly, it does the scrap, something to do, it's a bit like old computers. I wish I had my old one now, I didn't give it away. I saw a video the other day and it's about getting gold and silver off computer parts and how they did it. Oh my goodness me. But anyway, that computer had to go. It's taking up too much room. It's my first old computer I had years ago, and I gave it to someone that needed it, so it's gone to good home now. I think it's last year now. Anyway, go back to this slow cooker. It's a very, 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 in my opinion, quite bloody big. And it's so I suppose nowadays you call it an antique. It was, it's a very good make. The year is about 1980s. And I didn't even know my mum. I knew she had a stove cooker, but I didn't know how old it was. And I don't know if it still works. So the manual, the book with the recipes is amazing. And I might, depending on my health, I might try and do a video or stream on that. And I can't do a demo because I can't do any of my cooking anything myself anymore. But this also links into another item my late mum gave me years ago when when she was alive and visited me. And it's one of these which is on sale in these stores now in the UK. Goes for about £60-70, but I've got this one that's worth more. And it's not just because of the name of the it's like a halogen grill cooker all in one. It's electrical, and it's going to have to be a reorganisation somehow, I don't know yet, in my kitchen to make space to use these items. Okay. The reason I mention about the broccoli is because you have to laugh about this one, I tell you. It's like rubber. Oh my gosh. When have you ever taken a close look? Have you ever had broccoli? And that's a very good source of minerals in itself. So the only way I can eat broccoli if it's steamed and mixed in with garlic, cloves of garlic. And I know the garlic, you think, ooh, but it has a natural anti-inflammatory, anti-bacteria to kill any germs in the body naturally. Whether you crush it and mix it into a cob mixture and a paste, there's another recipe for that I know about, or you blend it with some other stuff for another mixture. But this, doing it in the way my friends does it, as a stew, is done with chopped up garlic, as fine as you can do it. With the broccoli, you chop up obviously the heads and you dissect the heads of the broccoli, so you've got the leaves, the greeny part, which is more nutritious and easier, but you can't eat as much and you need to digest it in the body, you might have difficulty. So that's how they do it anyway. And then you've got your chopped up carrots, and they not really sort of like finely done, and depending, health and safety nice and stuff. If you limited mobility, that's a very good way to try and do it. Right, then you've got your sort of white potatoes. If you can source red, there's a reason why some red potatoes is nutritious, and depending on the way you're able to steam, depending on your cooking choice. So usually it's a mix of vegetables and choose your own. But I find with the carrots there is another nutritious benefit. You can look it up yourself and investigate, depending on what your disabilities or health are. Then and then the potatoes mixed in. Now you can I don't add any spices unless I need to sweat out the body from infections or whatever you might be going through. Right, and then if you do have any meat, I don't no longer use any red meat. I've detoxed myself off that. Don't ask how I did that, but I have. And years ago, I don't know how many years now I've been off red meat, about 2 years. So I just like maybe chicken pieces, and they're organic. I found this very, very good shop, a Polish shop. The freshness of that chicken is absolutely divine. The taste is so much better. And the way my friends have to cut it up and steam it, oh, it's lovely. And so, yeah, I have my greens and intake made into steamed, and then it's It's not overly done, but they have to, because it has to be really like not quite like a paste, but like a mixed stew. They have to blend it sometimes up in my blender so I can like drink it rather than eat, because I've got no longer ability to eat food in the normal way, and my ill health and my dental health as well. That's one thing. If you want to add into like a thick gravy mix, but your bit of spice, and that can be dissolved easily. My friends do that too, and that really does help. Turmeric powder, be extremely careful of that. If you want your food to go like yellow, because the spice, I mean, I've got some really nice Indian spices I found by chance, and they just in the storage, in my storage food. Because if you've got lemon, you've got citrus storage, like juices for other recipes in your foods. If you're limited, like if you're doing a storage of food for whatever reason, this does help with flavour. So if, gosh forbid, it's snowing and you're stuck indoors or whatever, the tin milk, because this comes from my upbringing. My late mum taught me years ago to have a storage, and it's only all these recent months I've realised, on certain personal reasons, to have that. So yeah, it's not healthy, it's not ideal, but it will get you out of a jam, and it will keep you going. And then when it's not ideal, when you boil water and you cool it and you bottle it, but it's better than nothing. Because I'm not the one easy just to go out and get bottles of water, because it's so heavy and stuff. But I have found this Polish shop that I can get. I don't know how I'm going to get it home, but I know a big bag of red potatoes will last me a really good while, and storage of them, how to store them and keep them preserved, would get me through this if that snow hits very quickly next week or so. And this big bag is not that expensive, and nowhere else can I find it. I can't find a big bag like that on the local market and another local store, and in the shops will be extremely expensive. This Polish one, independent store, it's absolutely in my price range. And when I saw it, I couldn't believe the amount of jars of pickles and all these healthy things I've resourced online, found they've already pickled and jarred up. There's a row of all these jars of healthy pickles and fruits, and although they're pickled and jarred, I've looked at the dates to that last, and you're looking at 2020. Yeah, I could not, but even the meats. So I picked up one can of meat that was quite cheap, thinking it was like beef, like, sliced beef. But when my mate opened it, it was corned beef. And it was the best corned beef I've tasted in years. Oh my goodness me. And it was 79 pence UK currency. Instead of like £1.30, the cheapest price I found in the basic corned beef meat in a UK style British made. This was Polish made. This was from Europe. This was brilliant taste. The ingredients was non-GMO. That the ingredients my mate read, because I mean you had to look online with the Polish translation, and it was non-GMO, and it was amazing. So you can guarantee when I'm able to, is get my pickle jars and make not at the moment obviously, but when I'm able to, you got your packets of dried stuff. And if it hadn't been for a Russian friend I've met again and pointed me that direction, so that's another reason, going back to the slow cooker use, is to try and look at the recipes. I've got a recipe book, as I said, excuse us, a recipe book, and an instruction manual. But at the moment, I've got an injured right leg, so I have to be my day of resting today. So that is the reason to describe about the nutritious value of trying to source an alternative foods, and extremely, when the weather's here the way it is, non-GM, and sometimes resorting to tin foods. It's not, I don't push the processed foods, but I also know about people when they do prep. I've seen videos about that, but I thought, well, hold on, people in my positions are not in that, not able to. So when I saw this already pre-done in this Polish shop and the prices were really reasonable, well, that will get the storage of that. I've got a certain cupboard I can't get to at the moment, and that needs to be rearranged somehow. Could be used for that storage, and these jars are quite heavy, so you need to make sure wherever you're storing things is secure and accessible. And just put like if you've got a whiteboard or something above where you're storing things, what the date you stored it and the end date, and just a simple word of the item of the you stored. So in case you do need to move or your health gets deterioration, whoever needs to come and help you in your home, whatever goes on, they know you got some storage of food in that cupboard and it's on a whiteboard. So it's just something to think about, you know, to backup plan. And just thinking ahead, really, planning ahead, because you don't know what's around the corner. So, well, I'm not saying you personally, but I know what my situation is. I'm going on to this Halligan cooker. That absolutely freaks me out completely. I knew when my mum was using it, my late mum, in a flat she used to have years ago before she got unwell into the care home. And she knew full well wasn't a very good cook. I've always been very good at getting by. And she taught us well how to cook. I know how to cook and what to do. I just don't not any longer have my physical health to do so. I just remember a lot, and I want it sometimes when you have a individual pass away and you remember a lot of things. Anyway, before my sister went the way she's gone towards me, I kindly got offered an instruction by her, and I appreciate that because that was posted to me, and that was of how to use it. Well, I haven't been able to, it's all been cleaned out and everything, but I haven't, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I hadn't really had the space really to see if it will work. I've got a sturdy enough antique table, and again, I haven't got shelving and storage to put certain things off, up and higher up and the way I like it. Years ago I had a house that I'd had a lovely storage and way things were set up, but unfortunately when you're reducing your physical disabilities and stuff, you have to think about health and safety. So again, that item stored safely away, but I'd like to know if it works. If it does, then I could have roast chicken. And that could be utilised to use in stews, cut up, salads, sandwiches, whatever. But I've seen the item and I want to keep hold of it because it's very practical and it will save me a lot, because at the moment my main I can't speak now, electrical cooker is absolutely needs replacing completely. The oven doesn't work. There's a lot of parts that are really still good shape. It's just the control. I know to recycle it, to get it mended, will cost me more than to get a second-hand one. I don't have the resources right now, and there's only one ring that works. So I know you can buy these 2 electrical rings quite cheap, but I think I can just make do at the moment once I get a head around how to use a slow cooker. I think that's going to be more beneficial. And I know there's a certain websites and information online, but my concern is health and safety, having it on if I'm not in there, in my home, switched on, like cooking, I suppose, because I'm not used to using one. I did used to have 2 old other previous slow cookers. Previous carers years ago used to use. I just need to rethink the planning of storage on my kitchen unit space. And that's something is worth, I need a couple of more diary and planners to be able to think about all that with some help. Right, on the natural health point of view, let's stick to that one for the detoxing. Right, if you can afford, depending where you get, I don't do things online at the moment the way I'd like to be able to. Green herbal tea is absolutely amazing to detoxify the body. And that's the point. I need a new hot cup in a jug. It's when you're limited mobility, having a certain style jug, like a travel mug with a certain handle that's not too heavy, but it doesn't retain the heat much. So having a flask, investing in a flask that does retain hot and cold food. I did have one given to me by my late mum. I don't know how it got busted about a year ago, and the glass shattered inside it. The stainless steel version is sturdy, it's much more practical. So if anyone can invest in one of them. And you've got the lids, the lid cups. So God forbid there's a power cut or whatever, and you've got made up of a soup version, and you're made up of a herbal tea or something version, and it comes in handy. Absolutely swear by it. That's that one. If your fridge cuts down on you and there's a power cut, gas, electric, whatever it may be, or God forbid, and you suddenly got a flask of hot tea or soup, you've got a basic emergency like that. Okay, you've got your cold snacks and stuff, but keeping warm and cold weather on top is important to think about that. And especially coldness and your disabilities, and if you're on medication, you really do need to think about these things. And sometimes these carers that might help you might not, because we're in a rush just trying to get to the next job. So it's all these little things, and if you're able to have whiteboard in each room, so say in your hallway, your bedroom, kitchen, lounge, and if you are in that position to write one-handed, if you're a wheelchair like me, hinting at right, that, or put a notice on your, or get someone to put a notice or a sticker on where you got tin food. And sometimes you might know what you got in there, but if you've got different carers coming in, they don't know. So right, there's tin milk, dried powder, dried milk, dried potato powder. You got your some of your spare herbal tea as well, different flavours perhaps. I have different flavours stored just in case. But when I got this green tea, it was amazingly cheap box and it was non-GMO, all organic. And you might just find you might pee a lot because it's detoxifying your body throughout your whole body, and it does work. It really does detox. Then when you've done a detox, you need to keep some kind of minerals and keep your body stable. Of course, you need to keep hydrated, and if you can find, it depends what bottle of water you use, but if you can find there's, if you look at, I know people don't like bottled waters and you're in a budget and you want to source what you can. Well, I've sourced a couple of bottles that hasn't done me no harm so far, and that mixes well. And depending what you, I cannot push to the shove if the water has to be drunk as it is out the bottled water, then I will do that. But I can't tolerate the taste of ordinary water, and I don't do tap water the way, with fluoride in the water allegedly. Anyway, so I have some kind of juice, and you can really get tiny packs now. You could open and then add if you're on the travel. But sometimes it is harder to get the bigger jars, the bigger tubs of certain, like orange juice or whatever you might need to dilute with water to keep hydrated, to keep the fluid going, especially in the water, in your body. Then what helps with natural intake of liquid is like tiny diced cucumbers. That retains some, I'm not expert in this, but it retains some water that does act and gets in the body and acts. It's just fluid, isn't it? It's anything you can research and find, whether it's fruit or whether it's a vegetable. It does help as an added source as water intake via that type of fruit. And it's a bit like if you were lucky enough to be able to source natural coconut juice. I mean, that's amazing benefit to the body. But the expense of buying it as a drink is hugely expensive, in my opinion. So obviously being UK, you're not sourced to that privy, and the cost of that, and coconut oil to use for many reasons I haven't been able to get. There is another way I found where to get a tub of coconut oil cheaper, and where I used to get it from, and that again is a Polish shop for literally half the price. So when I can afford it and able to, I want to get that in, because you can use it as cooking and also as a skin, for the skin, your teeth. I mean, there's a way, apart from people in my position, teeth really damaged, you can keep your oral health, all pouring. But anyway, have benefits of coconut oil too, other than the standard oil. Because if you compare with, if you're used to butter, natural butter, my mum used to use stork for everything. The best natural lard. If you look in history, the old school way of doing things, you'll find before the very sympathetic type ingredient of oils, oh my goodness me, they are saturated oils, and how that could clog up the body. Well, I didn't even know that. You just automatically get the cheapest until you obviously educate yourself and learn things. So now, olive oil, depending on the purity, and where you can source it from. I found another place, as I said, where I can get that from cheap. So that's another thing. Now, what else? Lettuce, be careful what you're doing on that if you can't digest it. Even if it's shredded, the body, if you've got other illnesses going on, that is really difficult to digest. There is no different types of lettuces I found, but you do need the ability to be able to chew it unless it's all blended. Now I'm going to give a description of a blended remedy to help detoxify upon not just green tea, but this, I like to think, God forbid the weather doesn't get bad again next week, there is the parts of parsley leaves, coriander leaves, because you don't want to use the stems. It really is a tall order to finding and the freshness of these ingredients, and I found another place where I can get it from. Then you want to source that pineapple, and of course you want to know how to, this is all for blending and making up a green juice, vegetable juice that you can as raw, and you can drink it. You keep it in the fridge and drink it. It's not very good look at, it's really green, but it's so healthy on top, and it really does help. There is something to do with this mixture that really helps the body with the pain and inflammatory. We've got swollen hands and legs or feet or whatever, and it really does work. Because I've it's been months since I've tried it because I haven't been in that position to do much. So I'll go back to again what you need for that, and is parsley leaves, coriander. You need the lettuce. I would go for the darker green lettuce you can find and not include too much of the stem of a lettuce. And also pineapple, and this is the next bit, ginger root. Absolutely swear to goodness, the ginger root, you need to peel it, not powder. The pure ginger root. You need to be careful and you can source these ingredients. Now, when you chop it up, these ingredients, you put it in your blender and your bottle water, just enough, not overdo it with your blender. And when you blend it all together, especially you put just enough pineapple or ginger root. If you put too much ginger root, it can be bitter. If you put too much pineapple, it can be sweet. So depending on the balance, what you want, of the ratio between the pineapple chopped up into it, as well as the pieces of ginger root. When you blend it all up, you need a strainer, and you strain it into a jug, and the pulp, you can easily use the pulp if you want, there's nothing to that, but if you dry out the pulp, you can use it as spice, a mixture into your fruits or salads or yogurts, because you can always use that. Just be careful what you're doing. But my mates use it as a drink, a juice, and it's just as good as aloe vera juice, but this is homemade. You know what's going in it, and it's all fresh. And if you depend on your family, but if you're just one individual, you a good sort of like 2 point carton of like a jug could last you 2 or 3 days, and you're taking like a half pint, like if you can stomach it, that is, one in the morning, one at lunch, one in the evening, and you will see the absolute positive benefit within days. You will see the energy suddenly come. You will see the clarity, the fogness of your mind. You will see, you will start feeling a better sleep. You will start feeling the pain less in your body. The benefits of the ingredients is amazing. And it's just a shame my health and situation, I haven't been able to do that kind of preparation with help I need for that now. And I used to do a lot of that, that used to be my routine, the green detox. Now this is another, once you've done the green detox, that what I described, you're going on to the fruit version. This winter time, this period of time, you're not going to find strawberries unless you grow your own. And because the last time I did that put me off getting any more, because I found when I got them home from the market was the absolutely whole was absolutely rotted. It's like a pesticide got inside the strawberry, and they were deliberate. I knew they were GMO food. They weren't naturally grown. There wasn't a local farmer. I'm not one of those that be able to go to a local farmer that grows their own fruit and veg in. And if you do find one online, how do you know it's going to get to you in the and the expense on top? So I don't know. It's up to you what you want to do, but I found that the strawberries were absolutely, you had to check half them away. When I did find ones that were okay, you chop them up, blend them up with your non-pipped oranges or clementines with the skin on, and with bananas, but you want to obviously make sure skin bananas, but be careful when you cut the bananas up, and be careful in the middle of the banana, because they could be slightly black and rotted. You need to peel that out and then chop it up. And then if you can find raw milk, I mean, I found organic raw milk occasionally, but sometimes I get the it's very hard nowadays to find non-GMO, but I think for this particular blend, a particular milk, not usually the pasteurised in stores, I find the carton milk much more beneficial and lasts longer. And it turns out the blending of that juice, it's more like to create a vitamin C, something to do with the clementines. Bananas give you the energy in your body, and also the strawberries is like something to do with purifying the blood. And grapes, red grapes do that too. You can put some red grapes in there, seedless, because the skin and the puberty of the red grapes. I just eat red grapes at the moment because they really do help in a manner of way I cannot describe, especially when you're not able to chew natural food. Really helps the body, and I don't know what it does to the gums and your throat. The juices of the red grapes is much more beneficial than the red, yellowy red, the yellowy greeny colour. That's it. Because I've learned this a while ago, and I forgot the websites I checked out. I can't quote them right now. So that is a fruit version of a smoothie blended to replenish and getting back into your body the helpful, beneficial minerals and vitamins in that area. And then if you, unfortunately, you're not able to do these blends of the green juice detoxing, or replenish it by the fruit juice, then yes, unfortunately, your one is only relying on buying what you can afford. And then the ingredients is usually added on the extra sugars. Be extremely careful if you've got slight illnesses or disabilities where you can't tolerate sugars. That's in everything. And if you're not sure how to read the labels, you've got certain disabilities, then you've got someone to help you to look at that angle and research however you can. It's worth knowing, because the sugars also can damage your health. Now, what I found personally, and I did that video on natural health, was this powder. For me, that was the cheapest way at the moment and the quickest way. One is called wheatgrass to detox the body on top of my green tea and mixed with orange juice. And I've got one that's less sugar in it. And that works like in the morning you know, really detox all the crap, and especially when you've been out in this weather. Oh my goodness. And then the next one is usually in the morning. It's very, very, very dark green, and it's got iron, it's got calcium, magnesium, sodium, calcium, protein, and it's so dark green, it's unbelievable. But the taste is better. You get used to the taste, and again, you're mixing it with your favourite fruit juice, and you can mix it in with salads, into your food, but be prepared. It will turn it dark green, and it might put you off eating it, looking at it. Just don't look at it, eat your food that way. But it really does work. And go back on the video on natural remedy I did about that, and I did show the make of that version of that one. Now the wheatgrass version is a very light green powder, and that is really just like a green tea in a way to detox the body. But at the moment I find the latter one I just said about, it's really helps, but it does take time for the body to repair, and especially when you're out in this blinking weather and constantly getting that coldness and you're constantly running down, you need to rest, listen to your body. We need to rest. And well, today, unfortunate circumstances, I couldn't meet somebody, and at the end of the day my body needed to rest, so it turned out in a benefit really that I can rest and make a video. This helps trying to talk. So when your body needs to, like swollen neck, or they put it the flu season, if you look into the lemon, your natural honey, your chopped up ginger root, and you lay it in a mason jar, and you cover up a certain length, and you get some hot water and cold water and drink some of that, you're getting that kind of lubricant in that throat and the swollen glands, and you're getting that flavour of the lemon, and it's like a alkaline type drink of the body, and it's not 100% guaranteed it's going to help, but I find it really does when I get all the blockness in the sinuses, like you know, it's like the old-fashioned people. I mean, not old-fashioned, but people still do this, don't they? Go when they're able to go to the gym, swim. I used to do all this years ago. And the sweating in the steam room, or what steam room? What's the other one? A sauna. Oh, that is excellent. I used to do that years ago. It's so healthy for you. And but I'm not in that position. I really do miss all that. But I try all these alternatives. So you may not be able to do as much, but what can you do? You know, and try to in the affordability with limitations. So it might be helpful. So that's that. The dental operation I need is going to be the biggest thing for me this year. Major. And it's not the end of the world. I just know that all these years of medications, what's happened to my teeth, my enamel, is I know the teeth can repair itself. The ones I do have left, the good only 2 ones I have left, over the years I know what's caused all the damage. It's not to do with my diet, you know, my health, my food intake. I know what's caused it, but I won't make that public because that can be debatable in the academic world in the UK. But because of that, I like to keep the body balanced, my immune system, and it is a fighting battle with the elements of the world. We live in an environment where the coldness is always out there nowadays. The way we are in UK doesn't seem the weather the way it is. And then you're in an environment where you've got central heating on and you can't always open your windows to let the fresh air because it's so cold in. and then on top you might getting all these ill health and run down, or whatever it might be. So it's just some learning, some practical, physical, natural ways to try and help the body to keep stabilized. The next thing is not for everyone, but natural, well, meditation. Meditation music, softly playing in the background, really does something to the mind, the subconscious, the conscious mind. It's depending on your choice. You could be different types, you know, whatever works for the individual. I find love nature. So nature music, soft playing in the background. I don't always remember to have it on, but I have somebody that does trigger and help me remember. And thank goodness. And at night, I've got all of these really from years ago when I used to be in meditation and natural health as well. I've got a lot of these really, really well. I don't know where she's put the bag now of them, but the tapes, CD tapes. But I've got CDs and I've got the tape cassettes. So it's a bit of a tall order trying to get a tape cassette player out. I wanted to get a new tape cassette player combined radio, but nowadays it's so expensive, so I have to save up for that. I've got some meditation type CDs that when a friend of mine can remember to put on at night, it does help calm the body. Now, what she's been able to do is help me remember, right, there's a set time, switch all the devices off at a certain time, put it on air mode, whatever, or turn them right off, keep away from your body. If you want to keep out your bedroom, but I have to set one near me in case anything happens to me. So I've got something nearby to ring for emergency if I need to. But the meditation effect for the mind and body day and night, even if you're out. I have to find another bag that I can, a big bag, to put my CD player. I've got a portable one, and the music, so relaxing. But health and safety is first. If you have to travel, God forbid, say you got an appointment and you got problems, anxiety, whatever, and there's a situation behind it, you're waiting somewhere in a place for a long time, that is powerful to play that music. And I don't, practically cost wise, I don't think to play it on your phone, your smartphones, is cost effective in your data. You've got a portable, the old fashioned, I don't know what you call it nowadays, but I find that the portable CD player, and even these portable cassette players, I want to see about one of those. I find they're smaller and much easier when you're limited mobility to put in a bag, and you can have an earpiece. So much easier to play these old cassette tapes of nature. Beautiful music. And I like the music I've got is from years ago. It's also from my late ex-partners, male friends I used to know years ago. I used to travel in business, and they used to pick up these on their travels, the authentic music, like jazz, gypsy type. I can't think of the make of these music artists now, but they were absolutely. I've still got a collection, but I can't play them on YouTube because of copyright. But the whole bunch of these tapes. I mean, I paid a lot for them over the years because I used to run a business before I had to close it down to get off and running a business and natural health because of a personal situation that happened. but at the end of the day, I still remember the power of the mindset when they were playing in the background. I always never forget the the how the mind and the body is so relaxed with that sense of, I don't have essence oils anymore because I now know my physical reduction and health and safety comes first, so I can't have all that. But if you're able to, there's a lot to do with Reiki, natural health of the body, natural crystals, meditation music, and then obviously, you know, nowadays with the way the world is, it's very important to think about the mind, body, and soul. And it's not just about music. Also, it's how you are within yourself. It is hard. The stress of life on this conveyor belt of life, it is hard, and harder than more for others than is for another, perhaps. But I'm just giving you a few tips today. From personal experience, that does work. I tried it and I've experienced it past, stopped, and present. So I'm just restarting, trying again, as this channel is called. It's not easy when you've got a lot of other things going on. I'm going to stop this video now as my throat is getting, my glands need to rest, and my friends need to help me now to, can just hear them trying to support me now. But God bless. Just play back the video, take some notes if you need to. Any questions, or any requirements of like what kind of pill do I use, any tips, because I've still got these, or any kind of music, because I can get out, my mate can get out my tapes and I can show you, make a video of the tapes, and don't have to play them. I can just show you the way you can actually source perhaps CD versions if you're good at converting tapes into CDs or online, or there's online technology now. I can give you all this beautiful music that will help you make a combination to help with your own meditation. And that's one video I could suggest doing, and to help somebody else, because it is important for your mind, body and soul to be in tune together. And there's a lot of cutbacks and services are not always going to be about to aid. And it's a double whammy in a way. When you've got physical disabilities on top, it can affect you psychologically. So really do need to be aware. I'm fully aware what's going on in many other areas. But for now, I'll just keep it short. God bless, keep safe, whatever you believe for. You're not alone, we're all trying to get on and survive, and keep warm and keep safe and keep healthy. It's a difficult one for many people in many ways. God bless. Signing out, trying again.